What's going on, everybody? Ryan Ogren here, and today I'm going to be talking about all the skills that a BDR, a business development rep, needs to master in order to actually open up accounts in 2026. When I talk about opening up an account, it means truly starting from a net new, an account you guys have not been in, and opening up, starting that relationship, booking a call, having engagement, essentially turning something, the first step to anything needs to happen before it turns into an actual closed deal. I'm going to be walking you guys through all of those skills, whether you're a BDR in the manufacturing space, whether you're just B2B, whether you're SaaS, whether you're healthcare, whatever you guys are actually in. If you're a BDR, this works for you, okay? So essentially a BDR, there's multiple different components of it. A business development rep, usually a BDR. So BDR, usually they're tasked with opening, I'll just say the true task is business development, okay? So essentially business development means pounding the pavement. You are just literally messaging as many people as you possibly can. You are trying to figure out ways to just follow up with as many people as you possibly can to get in front of people to create opportunities. So business development actually equals creating opportunities, okay? That's essentially what you're doing. Opportunities. Now, the issue, and this is where a lot of BDRs struggle, is the skills that are required. It's not just volume in. There's a nuance to it. And me coming from outside of a BDR, I've never actually been a BDR. I've always been a marketer and a sales guy. I've been on that side versus actual pound the pavement, trying to open up all these accounts and then just handing them to somebody else. I've always been like the actual guy that's either had the account handled or just been marketing, be the one that's actually creating the opportunities from above, just the puppet master. And the interesting thing about this is BDRs, they typically have to do so many different things, and they just think it's a volume problem, and it is not. It is not a volume problem. It's actually a skill issue. Okay, and I'll explain why. So let's just look at a typical BDR, and then let's look at actual typical strategies. So strategy number one is cold email. It used to be cold calling, and now I would say most BDRs now are figuring out a way to cold email. If you are not a good experienced cold email, and if you're watching this, whether you're an expert at cold email or you're not, if you know that you're not, then you are up against it. So essentially what's going on right now, Google, Outlook, and all these other big email ESPs, email service providers, are really cranking down because they're applying AI to the spam filters. So their spam filters are getting tighter and tighter at actually noticing what is spam, is marketing, what is solicitation, and what is not. And with AI, this is gonna get harder and harder to delineate. Now, if you don't know this, you're gonna be falling into a lot of these traps, and you're having to send more and more emails to actually hit your quota and actually see responses, okay? So that's that, and that's even before we even get to that point. The list building part is probably what takes you a decade to actually do. So I'm just gonna list out all the things that you have to do to actually succeed with cold email, and then we'll actually go into cold calling. And then we're gonna go through cold LinkedIn outreach. And then we can talk about trade shows, but I really don't condone going to it. I think those trade shows, it wastes your times essentially. Anyways, let's do it. So cold email, the skills that are required. The very first thing you got to do is you have to research companies, okay? And this is before list building. In your particular space, as a business development rep, you need to have some relevance. You need to have a reason to reach out to these people, okay? And so essentially when we're reaching out to these companies, these decision makers, the research is so much more important. Now for us, we use triggers. I have AI agents for each one of our clients scouring the internet for press releases, for news articles, for new things that are happening. That's on LinkedIn. That could be a LinkedIn post, a social media post on all these profiles for all of their target accounts, okay? It's insane how much information we can actually sift through, and we don't even have to do it. Our AI agents are doing it. So we're actually, for each account that's in a list, let's say it's a list of 2,000, we have AI agents that are looking at all the news articles that they're posting, all of their social media channels, all the actual job postings that they're posting, all of their employees' personal LinkedIn accounts posting and other social media postings. We're looking at all of those different things, analyzing them constantly, and we have all this information now to actually build our list. We know which companies are interested and which ones aren't. We know who is hiring for what role and who is not. And so that's very interesting. It's very useful. And I think if you aren't doing this, and a lot of BDRs, you're having to do research manually. I just got off a call with a lady. She said she's up till 1 a.m. and she's been in the industry for 30 years. I'm like, there's just easier ways to do that. So number one is researching the companies, okay? And then after that, you have to build your list. You have to go through list building. And realistically, when you go through list building, this is where you probably spend the most amount of time, because if you're using Apollo.io or ZoomInfo or Seamless.ai or Clay or anything like that, and I'm not going to pull in LinkedIn Sales Navigator into this list, you're spending hours to clean that list. Or if you're not, you are actually pulling a very dirty list of, I'm getting over ear infection actually. It's weird, the ear actually like drains into your throat. I don't know, it's disgusting. Anyways, if you are a list builder, okay, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, and Apollo's lists are very dirty lists. Even if you have the best search filters of all time, you're still gonna have staffing companies, executive search firms, like all these random companies in there. That's just Apollo. That's literally what they do. They're not great at classifying the leads, and they're really not great at actually building things. ListKit might be a little bit better, but all these list building providers are the same. It's very hard for them to truly classify the companies. They can give you a bunch of good information, but it's not all the information that you need. So when you list build, if you're not spending a couple hours on it, you're probably getting a bad list. And so then after that, you actually have to figure out how to send the emails. Or you actually gotta verify the emails. So within the list building, you gotta get the right job titles, the right companies, all that. Then you gotta verify the emails, make sure they're good to go. And then after that, you gotta get your cold emails set up, your sending tool. And the issue that I see with a lot of BDRs is they actually will send through their CRM. And this gives me a heart attack every single time. Not actually, knock on wood, I don't want a heart attack, but they'll send a bunch of cold emails through HubSpot, and it just makes me want to throw up. If you send too many emails through HubSpot, you are going to get banned, and I can pretty much guarantee you that your campaigns are just horrible. You might slip through every now and again and have one account, and you're like, oh, we opened up this account, it's great. You might have had success there. If you scale that up, you will get burned. 100% you will get. HubSpot will actually ban you from it. They don't want you to send cold emails through their software. You will also burn your main domain. So the main company domain, your main company website, if you're sending a bunch of emails off of that, and that's what you're prospecting on, and reaching out to people with that particular email address, you are going to burn that domain. Your domain reputation is going to go down the toilet. And then eventually what's going to happen is when you need to send truly an agreement across or whatever, it's not going to get there. That's the issue. Okay, your domain reputation's everything, and if you prospect off your main domain, you're toast. So you need to then have a cold email sending tool. We like to use Instantly.ai, but you also need cold email inboxes, cold email domains and inboxes. Okay, so these are domains and inboxes. These are similar to your main domain. If it's RyanOgren.com, it's Ryan-Ogren.com. And they won't even know the difference when you send the email from it, that domain, and then you forward the main domain, the actual domain. If it's Ryan-Ogren.com, if I visit Ryan-Ogren.com, it goes to Ryan-Ogren.com. Okay, and then the inbox is per domain. Reason we do this, if we send a bad email for whatever reason, someone doesn't like it and they mark us as spam, and obviously we don't want to do that all the time, but let's say they do, and that domain gets flagged, only those inboxes attached to that domain go down, not the entire system. Not everybody on the business development team's emails go down, okay? Now, once you do that, you got to actually monitor everything, and then you got to work your leads. Very rarely create the lead magnets, because a lot of you don't actually create lead magnets, which makes our life so much easier, because we just absolutely crush every single business development team that's out there that competes with us, because we do spend that time. So anyways, that is literally just for the cold email side, and then you got to do your follow-ups. And this right here, if you're not automating your follow-ups, we are dominating you as well. So all of these skills on just a cold email, and that's a full-time job right there in itself, and we still haven't gone into cold calling or cold LinkedIn outreach yet. All right, so cold calling, let's just go through this. First, you need to actually do the research, figure out the companies you want to go off of. You have to go and get your list, and then you have to have a dialer, or you can use your phone, okay? You can use your cell phone, that's fine. But the same thing does happen where if you call too many times from your phone, your personal phone is just gonna start to get blocked. It's gonna start to look up as spam risk. You have a reputation, but it's not as prominent. So we like to use a power dialer, but you don't need that. You can just use your phone. And now you have to just literally pound the pavement. You have to spend the time, cold call. And you also need to figure out a script, a strategy. So now you have to do these two things. And also you have to have your strategy here. Okay. So that's those two, just to be competitive. Okay. Now let's go to LinkedIn outreach. This is my favorite. Oh, there we go. I thought my video was lagging here. LinkedIn outreach. So you need to have your account set up properly. You need to do your research. Then you actually need to use a proxy, because if you're going to be accessing your LinkedIn through different areas, or if you're going to have somebody on your team access your LinkedIn, or if you are going to have more than one person in your LinkedIn to work multiple leads, you're going to need to do that. You don't necessarily need it if it's just you logging into it. Okay. So you might not need that, but now we have to go through list building in Sales Navigator, which is its own beast. This list building, where is it? This list building, and this list building are three different list builds. Like, they're just three totally different things. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I thought my thing was lagging here, but the 3 different list building, it's 3 different skills. Sales Navigator, you actually have to build accounts first, build account list first, make sure you manually look at the company descriptions, save them to an account list, import the account list into your lead list, then use Booleans for the job titles that you want, okay? That's what you need to actually have a good lead list in Sales Navigator. Apollo, you actually just build it in the people list, and then you have to use the include all company keywords. You go through and do the actual broad job titles, then you got to use Clay to actually enrich it. Those are 2 different skills right there. And then cold calling, I wouldn't even use Apollo. I would use something completely different to get better phone numbers, so I'm not wasting my time. I would use something like Swordfish to get better phone numbers, so I'm not wasting my time. So anyways, the list building is just totally different in Sales Navigator. But then you got to go through that, you got to learn that, and then you got to do your outreach. Actually, first, before you do that, now you got to craft messaging, then you got to do your outreach, and then you got to do your follow-up. Then you got to do your organic posts if you're smart. If you're not smart and you don't do your organic posts with your outreach, you're wasting time, okay? And then, yeah, that's essentially what it is. And if you're smart, you're going to be creating lead magnets. But if you're not saying you're not smart, but it just makes our life easier. This is one BDR. And then also add in all the calls they have to actually get on from booking meetings, and then add in like the trade shows. What naturally happens if we just take all of this and we just funnel it down, what actually happens is like your attention is spread so wide. Attention spread too wide. That's essentially how it goes. Because it just spreads your attention so wide, you can't go deep on any of those skills. You can't actually learn any of those skills. That's why all the skills that I talk about, like a BDR actually needs to learn, it's everything I just walked you through. And this is just to be effective. It's not even to be a good one. So anyways, you could always just go and hire a marketer. If you want to work with us, if you have a BDR team and you want to work with us, essentially what we do is we elevate your BDR team. We take all of this off their plate. They can actually just focus on working the deals that we book and just turning them into actual relationships, so you guys can close deals. We actually closed $3.55 million in collected revenue through our leads for our clients in 2025. So I know this works like a charm. We're better than a lot of the BDRs out there, and we don't replace them. That's the thing. They need to be pushed into a more high leverage position. So if that's interesting and you want to work with us, click the button below or click the link below and apply to work with us. If not, no hard feelings. This video is just totally valuable for you, but I would think through actually hiring a marketer, do all your prospecting for you, instead of relying on your BDRs to do it, because your BDRs are just so spread thin, they can never go deep on anything. And that's not their fault. It's the job title itself. So I want to just say that. And also, if you're a BDR watching this, I don't hate you. I promise. I actually love you, right? And the reason I'm doing this is because you're spread so thin, you can't be effective. It's the job title that's the issue. And so essentially what we want to do is help you be a little bit more skilled, close more deals, and make more money. All right. So I'm Ryan Oregon. This is MoneyMake Marketing. Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.